Should we start? Oh,
Let me get situated, John.
okay.
That's this is as situated I'm gonna be.
Cool.
Hunched over a microphone.
Oh gosh. Okay.
I hate both of you. Welcome to One Foot on the Ground.
This is Ashley.
And this is Johnny.
And today we are discussing 28 Days Later.
2002 or
Thank you.
2003 if you hold the US release date over the UK.
Oh, well, I would say whatever the British release date was should be
Right, because like that's like its city of origin or
it's Danny
country of origin.
Boyle, so yeah.
Yeah.
Give it to him. Give it to him. So 2002. We got it that late though? Like why did we get it later?
It was
28 days later?
it was November of 2002. So it was already like late 2002.
And then we got it. But that's weird though. Did they not expect it to do well? Like to get a wide release or something? I mean, how did that?
Oh, I don't know, because Danny Boyle's like a big name. Like even before.
I remember this being a big deal when it came out.
Well, here, when did what's blip blip?
But I honestly
I
thought
think
this
it's
was
June, but I'll double check.
I thought it was earlier than 2002. Like when I was looking at it and stuff, I was like, oh shit, this was 2002?
Yeah, it was a lot of people reference it as because 2001 is when we had 9/11, and after 9/11 things started to become more nihilistic, especially in like cinema and like in horror, and so we started seeing like a bigger impact on zombie films or zombie adjacent movies. And so people point to 28 Days Later as like one of the first ones to pop out after that. But they were already filming this before 9/11. And I think because there's like a one of the scenes like where they're rejoicing, like the dad, the daughter, and what's their names, Jim and Selena, where they're like celebrating. Like that was shot on September 11th. And they were like, oh, that was weird. Like they were like, this is like a weird time to like shoot this scene.
That would be awkward. Oh God, that'd be awkward.
But yeah, so that's how I know it was like it started before that. But but I mean, like obviously we did start seeing a lot of disaster films, and we continue. Well, we continued to for a good bit.
Yeah. I'm amazed at how much, I mean, I know obviously things take time to edit and stuff. So I get that things are still coming out that were fully produced before the pandemic, but it's kind of weird how much stuff was. I was like, there's still new things coming out, and I'm like I mean, even Mandalorian season 2, it's like, really? Like, do they have time to do that before this? But apparently they did. They did it already. It's coming out in October. So it's very interesting.
Well, there's also
it just shows you how much. Huh? What? I'm sorry.
Oh well, a lot of stuff takes like a lot of time, and like post-production like takes a good bit too, right?
Well, I also think of contractual shit, like because like I remember, I don't know if I mentioned this before, I might have with you separately, but I remember when they announced Beyonce's Black is King was coming out to Disney Plus, and I hate reading comments on the internet. I really hate it. But every once in a while you grab one and you're like, are you kidding? I just roll my eyes because every time, like you can only see like one comment under something, like without you like going into the comments. Do you know what I'm talking about? Like,
yeah.
You don't see all of the comments.
Almost like, I mean, it's not like a featured comment, but like
But
It's
it's
like,
always a negative comment, and I'm collecting them as screenshots because I'm like, I think there is definitely something going on with an algorithm that makes all the mean things pop up at the top. Like it's almost like it's trying to get you to click on it to see what the fuck these people are saying. But
we're just
which is
re-entering
rude.
real-time nihilism, Johnny.
Yeah. I mean, I guess there are positive comments, but I never see them. But this one in particular, it really bugged me because it proved that people really have no clue what goes on in the world, like none whatsoever. And this is just one example. There are billions, I'm sure, but this was so Blackest King is coming out on Disney Plus, or it had been. It's already out now, but they posted the thing. Disney Plus posted their thing, and the first comment on there was like, "Oh, what? A year later, this thing comes out. Like anybody even cares anymore?" And I was like, so you seriously don't understand why it came out a year later because you're an idiot. Like, because
I will say that
if
I
this
don't
was,
know why it came out a year later. I'm unfamiliar with Blackest King. Like, I know it's a Beyonce thing.
yeah,
I had no idea it was on Disney Plus, though.
yes, but well, okay, but Disney being involved is probably your biggest clue
Mhm.
because it's money. So, and this made sense to me why it came out a year later. But this is what I'm saying. Like, I'm like, it doesn't make sense that people don't know some of this stuff of how these things work. So let me a little bit break it down for the people. So she her album for The Lion King didn't even come out until much later. Like they made their money first using Beyonce as a vehicle for it, right? They got their money. They put
Mm.
out their soundtrack. They get their money. The film comes out. They make their money. Then they're like, okay, Beyonce, now you can put out your album. This isn't like a Beyonce album, typical Beyonce album, where she can just throw it out there whenever she wants because she's contractually obligated not to do so because she was working with Disney. So she would have to put it out when they told her to do so. And the exact same thing happened with Blackest King because it's the video album for that album that she did for The Lion King. So they have to make their money by putting out in the theater first. Then they got to premiere it on Disney Plus, premiere it on the Blu-rays, premiere it all those different ways that they can make money off of it. And then when they're done making the money, they're like, okay, we've made some money. Now, Beyonce, you can put out your movie. That's exactly what happened. I mean, it
Well,
came out at such a interesting moment too, though. I thought it was kind of interesting that that's when that movie came out. Do you know what I mean? It's like right in the middle of Black Lives Matter, and it was like Black is King, Beyonce, boom. Where everybody's gonna see it, everybody's gonna watch it. I tried. Nothing against any of it, but I don't.
well, Disney's also, well, one, Disney is a company that has really figured out their rhythm.
Yes.
And when you consider like even movie releases like theatrically in general, you'll notice that like certain movies like Brave or Frozen or Princess and the Frog, or I'm just I'm naming movies like that I think are around the same time. They're all dropping on the same or similar date. And I mean it's the same for like, oh, what is it, Lionsgate? They did Hunger Games, right? And Divergent and Harry Potter. Like those all took like those March slots, whereas November was like the Pixar movies, and then
Yeah.
we've got May for like the summer kickoff. But Disney, especially like once they took over that MCU, they m- must have some like dude or chick in the background or non-binary in the background that's like in charge of the statistics of dates, because for all of the MCU movies, they have dates announced years down the road,
Yeah. Yeah.
because Disney has a particular rhythm.
Mm-hmm.
They have like a flow. If they're projecting this much, it goes on this date, where they're going to maximize it. It's almost like hitting, I mean, I'm sure there's like a better analogy like that involves electricity or something, but what I think of is like when you punch a punching bag, like the time you hit it, like if nobody's holding it and it's swinging, like the timing in which you hit it, you don't want to hit it when it's like coming right back at you because you're going to hurt your wrist. You're going to try to like hit it in a way or at a time that best like knocks it around.
Yeah.
Well, if that's what your goal is.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, and so their goal is to like knock it out as far as possible, and they have, you know, certain times, like certain seasons work better for kids movies, certain seasons work better for family, for action, you know, and they've got it. But and so when the pandemic hit, or like the moment like China started closing up shop, Disney was one of the first that are like, whoa, 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 let's pump the brakes. Let's push these things back like a week. Let's do like 2 weeks. Let's do like next month. And then they were like, never mind, you know, like next year.
Yeah.
And and it was like movies like Black Widow, which was coming out. Was it Black? Yeah. Black Widow coming out in, I don't know why I was like Black Mamba, which is the Christina Ricci movie. But that one was coming
Black
out
Snake
in May.
Moan.
Oh yes, yes, Black Snake Moan. See, I'm all over the place.
Black Mamba was Kill Bill.
Apologies.
I should have been motherfucking Black Mamba.
Yeah. So, but they like, you know, when they pushed that one back, it pushed back all their other releases. It wasn't just Black Widow. It was the entire universe.
That hasn't come out, has it?
No, it has not.
Okay.
Nope.
I just forgot about it.
And that movie, those like big action movies would work best in a theater. So I think they would make the most amount of money like in that cinematic experience. You know?
I can see that, but I have to say the last, I don't know, maybe it's just me getting old, but the last few big action films that I saw in a theater, other than Star Wars, there was just too much, and I felt it was way more exciting when I got it home and I got to see the whole screen in front of me. I don't know if that makes sense, but because I normally love to be surrounded by a film, but for especially the Avengers movies, there's way too much shit to look at. And it was way easier for me to absorb it all on a smaller screen, if that makes sense. But like Star Wars, they're artistically done. And this is true, because I feel like those have been consistently, like kind of like Stanley Kubrick with 2001. It's like you're given a specific thing that you're supposed to be looking at, and there isn't that much around it to distract you from what you're trying to see. So those make sense to me. And obviously they have their big spectacle moments, but they're not as distracting as like the Avengers, where you're trying to cram 18,000 characters into one frame and you're like, who's here? What's happening? Who's stepping out of a hole? I don't know. So it's much easier to
or
see
even what's his face's, I don't want to spoil it, but like what's his face's funeral. All the people there, like somebody was like, oh, that's so and so from like the second one of that movie of like whatever, and I'm like, oh, like you like grown.
I mean, you're lucky you kept my attention enough to get me through all those movies, because I couldn't remember anybody from anything ever. Like I honestly don't. Like when I go back, I watched some of those again not too long ago, and I was like, I can't watch all these because they're so exhausting, and I just don't care. I really just don't. Like, I don't want to go back to Iron Man 1 and start from there. It's just exhausting.
Hey, that one was like the best one of all of them, wasn't it?
I mean, it was good, I guess. I remember it being good. But
it was the one they didn't believe in, and it's also the one that like kicked it all off.
Yeah, it did. It really did. I mean, like I said, it was good. I'm not saying anything bad about it, but it's just in retrospect, I'm not going back for all that. I feel like that about a ton of things as I'm getting older. Like, this is why I think it's easier for me to start getting rid of shit that I own, because I'm like, I keep looking at all this stuff and I'm like, I am never going to do this again. Never. It's not going to happen. So I kind of have that thing these days where I'm just like, I'm not going to watch that again. Are you kidding me? I don't have time for that shit. I mean, even Stanley Kubrick films, which, I mean, I'm not saying anything bad about that, but I put on The Shining not too long ago, and I only got halfway through it before it turned off. I mean, nothing against it, but it was just like, well, I've seen this so many times. Like, I know everything that's going to happen. It's not a surprise anymore. I think it would probably be different if I watched these things with somebody else. Like if I was watching it like with you, because you've never seen it, that would be exciting to me, because then I'd be excited for what you're going to see, rather than me like, oh yeah, there's that again. Oh, there's that beautiful shot
Oh,
again.
the elevator's got blood
Oh,
flow.
look at that. There's Johnny with his bat. Like, oh, like it's just, like I said, nothing against it, because obviously it's a beautiful film. It's gorgeous to look at, but and to listen. I mean, it's just everything about that film is beautiful. But it's, I don't know. But I tried to watch it before I watched Doctor Sleep, and that's why. Like I was actually going to watch Doctor Sleep, and you haven't seen either one, but at the very
But I've read both books, Johnny.
Oh wow! At the very opening of Doctor Sleep, it starts off with like the exact I don't know how to explain that. It's very brief, but it's the few first notes of the title track from The Shining by
Okay.
Rachel and Wendy Carlos. Rachel Eklund, I think her name is. Whatever, not the point. Anyway, I couldn't remember her last name. Not the point. But
So
anyway, it starts off with that, and I immediately, and this is what I'm saying, I thought it was good about that, was that it brought me in so much that I was like, oh no, I have to watch The Shining now. So like just those few opening notes of hearing that, I was like, oh no, I gotta watch The Shining. And so that's what I did. But then I like I said, I turned it off, and then we watched Doctor Sleep all the way through it, which was beautiful. I loved it. I thought it was very good. And I'm sure Kubrick fans are hating me for saying that, but whatever, I liked it.
I mean,
So
you're allowed to like it, right?
I'm allowed to like whatever I fucking want. I'm just
That's
gonna
right.
throw that out there. And I'm allowed to not like a Beyonce film.
Yeah, and back to Disney Plus. I think Disney
I
is
didn't hate it, by the way.
Disney is
I didn't finish it, but we can
I
skip
mean,
past
well, I mean, John, you're old.
that. It wasn't even that I wasn't enjoying it. I was just like, I don't know what it is. I wasn't in the mood to watch a long form music video, if you know what I mean. Like, it was kind of irritating me. Nothing against it. It was all beautiful, but it was like, it was a long form music video. Like, I was like, where's the plot? Because I need some story, Beyonce. I need some story.
Yeah. Well,
And I was in a story mood. If I'm not in a story mood at some point, I will put it back on. But even Lemonade had more context than this did so far. And I think I was maybe 30 minutes in, and I was like, yeah, I'm gonna stop this right now. I'll put this on when I want something beautiful to look at.
that's fine.
Yeah.
You're fine. But I think Disney's Disney Plus is so new that they are reforming their or even understanding their strategy. You know, like because Hamilton wasn't supposed to come out either. Hamilton was supposed to come out next year, and they kind of like pushed it up. So
That was smart.
yeah, so Black is King may have been supposed to come around this time, or it may have been supposed to come out like in conjunction with another film. Because what month are we in? Like, what would Disney have been releasing?
Do you know, I'm gonna say this, and this is gonna be a controversial thing. Most of the time when you're talking about Beyonce, it's controversial because there's so many people that love Beyonce, and she can do no wrong. And I'm not saying she did wrong. Not at all. That's not what I'm saying. But what I'm saying is, I honestly wonder if Disney was going to shelve it completely. I'm not joking.
That's also an option.
I honestly thought that, because I was thinking, this does not feel like something Disney would just do, if that makes sense. It does not. It definitely feels like something Beyonce would have done. And I'm not saying that Disney didn't fund it in some way, because they probably did. But then I can almost, I can
Plenty of projects that get made and then not distributed. There's like a lot where it just hits the right time, or it'd just be a waste of time.
Yeah.
Like the amount of pay that goes to the people to do the distribution, to get the licensing and all that stuff, it just might not be worth it.
Yeah. No joke. I honestly think that that might have been a project that was probably never going to come out, or maybe years and years down the line when they finally decided to let Beyonce have it back or something. But kind of like Tim Burton with The Night Before Christmas, like it took him forever for them to get that made,
Yeah.
but he couldn't make it with anybody else because they owned it. So, you know what I mean? It's the same kind of thing. It's like I would bet that Beyonce fought with them about it and got it made somehow.
Mm.
And then, and then that's what happened. It was like they were finally like, well, you know what? We don't have anything lined up. Theaters aren't opening. You're Beyonce. Let's put this out there on Disney Plus.
Yeah, and you know what? Right now, they probably would be releasing other films
Yes.
to Disney Plus.
Yeah, probably. Yeah.
I mean, they still have the opportunity to, but you know what I mean? Like theatrical releases getting dropped to Disney Plus.
I think they're hesitating with things because
They're hopeful. Well, Mulan's going to it's gonna open in China, which is cool. I mean,
okay.
that was the market they were targeting. And
Oh, I
also,
forgot that was coming out. That didn't come out either, did it?
no,
Oh
no, we
shit.
were like doing like desserts and such for Mulan. Like we
I
were
was
like
so
giving
excited
them.
about that. Yeah.
And they were super good, dude. We had like those Mulan like cheesecakes, so good. Um, but yeah, so they're releasing that in China, but China's also like a huge market for overseas money, you know.
Yeah.
So, and I'm pretty sure that that's where they were expecting to make the most of it, because you know people are getting kind of tired of remakes. Though I out of all the live action remakes, I think Mulan was the most exciting because they didn't have the music, right? They took out the
No,
music
I
portion.
think it was still in there.
You think it's still in there?
Yeah. Oh yeah. I'm almost certain
Oh
it's still
man,
in there. Yeah.
I thought
Uh,
it wasn't. I thought people were upset about it.
no. No, I'm almost certain it's in there. But
Hmm.
I was most excited about that one because it felt like one that worked better as a live action. Like I think a lot of them they just did it because they were popular. Like Lion King, that wasn't even live action. There was no human in that movie.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's almost like they're making them for the next generation
which
to
I
beloved.
honestly find I think we've talked about this. I find it very disrespectful because there was nothing wrong with the animation and the I mean, granted, The Lion King is not my favorite. It never has been, but it was
Mm.
beautifully animated. You can't get around that part. And the music was good. Like, I mean, it had its thing, but I just didn't care for the story. I could care less. But I I don't even think, and they don't bring much to them when they remake them this way. Like The Lion
Yeah,
King, it was
they're
almost
not
exactly the same. There wasn't anything different about it. It was like, what was the point of that? Literally, what was the point of that? And when you alter things bizarrely, I really don't get that. I really don't get it. And I think we talked about that too, like with the Aladdin, like you automatically what do you call it? Alienated me because you changed lyrics that we knew so well.
oh,
Like
I don't mind the
I do. I mind it.
like lyric changing because if they're redoing it, it's no longer for us. You know, it's not for
Well,
you and me. Like we can enjoy it, but we're not the target audience. Yeah, we're going to be the ones spending the money, but like think about us that have kids, right?
yeah. But
And then
but then
like
why not just put on the
then it
old
becomes
one?
theirs. And if they and they're gonna have to change it, otherwise it's a shot for shot remake. So they have to change it
Yeah, but
some, but not more, not too much, because then people will get even angrier than just a Johnny here and there. You know what I mean?
I don't know. I mean, I get it, but I don't get it at the same time. It's like it's all in one. I
I mean,
do get it, but I
it should have
don't
been
get it.
entirely reimagined.
Well, I don't even know about that, but it's just, and it's very hard to explain. w- w- ex- it's hard to pinpoint what pisses me off about it, Because I mean, it's just it's a little thing, but it was like, why? Like, why did you do that? It's kind of like the lyric changes for Nine. Like there were two lyric changes in Nine that were, it was literally just like a couple of words, but they ended up not making sense. And it was like, why didn't you just use the original lyrics? Because there was nothing wrong with them. Nothing. So I was like, what? What? Like seriously, like one included, or the one that they changed in Nine was about Michelangelo, and they rewrote it so that it actually didn't make sense because Michelangelo never painted a dome. So I don't know where they came up with that. It was like, yeah, that's not a thing. I was so mad too in the theater when that line came up, and I was like, what? No. Anyway, but oh yeah, but anyway, about
But
28
anyway,
days.
28 days later. Yeah, we're not talking about Disney. We're here to discuss a horror
Oh
movie, a
geez.
zombie movie. That one of the first no, not one of the first. So the first zombie horde movie was Night of the Living Dead, 1968, with George Romero.
Mm-hmm.
Then the first zombie movie was I might get this wrong, 1932, White Zombie. But there weren't hordes. There weren't hordes until George Romero. But then they weren't really fast. I'm sure there were like fast blips here and there for zombies in the 80s, but it wasn't like these. It wasn't like 28 Days Later, and I think that's what like the biggest pull was with this movie. Do you remember when you first saw this movie, or did you like first watch it this weekend?
No. I had watched it way back, not in the theater. I watched it later on DVD, but um, and we need to discuss a couple of things.
Yeah. Did you want to run through the plot first?
um, yeah, I guess.
You guess. We've been recording for 30 minutes.
I I know, but I mean, this one's like one of those ones where it's like you could probably give this one a super easy plot, or or you could try to make it long. I don't know. Do you know what I mean? Like, well,
Yeah.
oh gosh. Okay, so zombie outbreak happens because of monkeys in a facility where they're being experimented on.
Yeah.
Monkey breaks out because of people who are going in there to release them.
Animal activists, yeah.
Bite some people. These things switch over, like they zombify people in like 20 or 30 seconds or something. It's something crazy.
It's like 10 to 20 seconds.
Yeah. Uh, obviously, the breakout happens. It's crazy. It's nuts. It's horrible. And then 28 days later, Cillian Murphy is naked on a bed. And
Hmm.
that's the most important part of the whole movie. And he wakes up in a hospital, and the hospital's deserted. London's deserted. Everything's deserted. It's crazy. And that was actually my favorite sequence, but we'll get past that real quick. Then he eventually finds humans that are alive. He learns how to deal with things because he's been asleep the whole time. So they're kind of like giving him a rundown. They go back to his family's house to find out his parents killed themselves. And then they run around until they get to a manor where there's a bunch of army people, and they're holding some zombie all
Well,
captive
they
because they're trying to figure out how
they
long
hear a
it takes them to
broadcast.
die.
They
Oh,
hear a broadcast, and they're going to the broadcast that there's military people, they have protection and whatever,
oh
and they're
yeah,
like,
that's right.
you
That's right.
should go to there. Yeah.
So they do that. Things get crazy,
Yeah, and then they learn the true horror is humans.
which is basically all of these fucking things. But
Well, I
humans
mean,
are awful.
is it not?
I mean, oh, well, anyway, and then eventually he saves the day by saving the two girls. And then it depends on which version of the ending you've seen. They either survive and signal somebody to help them in a remote location by building a big flag, or he dies when they try to do a blood transfusion. So it's one or the other. So that's it.
Right on. Good job, John.
Uh, I tried to make it quick because I need to get to some of this. So, because right off the bat, like I said, I remember watching this like when it came out on DVD or whatever, not when it was in theaters, but on DVD. And I remember loving it. I thought it was great. I owned it at some point. Um, and then recently, when we were deciding to do this one, I had to find it, which first of all is not streaming on anything. So I was pissed about it because I mean literally
Oh,
everything.
I have two full screen copies over here.
Yeah. Well, I certainly don't want that. But I eventually rented it off of Amazon. And I have to say I was pissed about it because it was so bad. Like the quality of it was horrible. And I was like, has this ever been on Blu-ray? Because have they ever restored this? Did this ever look good? Because it looked like
John,
shit.
it was all right. So I thought when I first saw this movie had to have been um around the time like when I was like doing stuff for film a ton, because I found this flick absolutely inspiring because they recorded all of it on mini DV cameras, and mini DV was what I was recording on. And it has not aged well, but I was looking for Blu-rays of it because I only own it on DVD. And the reason it's only in full screen is because it was shot on a DV camera. It was not shot on like a panoramic lens or anything.
Huh.
But I saw in the reviews, somebody wrote terrible quality. Like, and I was like, oh yeah, like why do I even need it on Blu-ray? Because it's not it was never meant. It was like meant for like a tube screen.
Well,
Like,
but it
and
was
I
really
also watched like a
weird.
high definition version because like I still needed to know, and it was still garbage, but like it was, I'm pretty sure that was like the intention. And
I mean, I will say that I did think of that while I was watching. I was like,
right.
I was thinking, I remember that Danny Boyle, this was, I don't believe it was a big budget, right? It was a
8
small
million.
budget. It was 8 million.
Yeah.
That seems like a lot. Uh,
Seems like a lot. Think about all the money that went into shutting down those London
well,
streets.
okay, that was the other thing I was going to bring up because it, I mean, obviously they would have had to close down some things, but I feel like I remember there being a special or a behind the scenes about them doing that. Because didn't they do it digitally? Like they did some kind of, I feel like they didn't actually shut down everything that we saw.
They shut down areas, and they had to shoot at like 5 in the morning, like super early in the morning. And they still had people that were coming out from like clubs from the night before. And they still had people who were like driving like to work, and they're like, what are you doing? Blah, blah, blah. And so they really only ended up with like about a minute of usable footage. So they probably did digitally like cover up like
I
cars or
seriously,
strays. Yeah.
I definitely remember them talking about that on something. I don't know what it was, but and that was way back. It might have been a special feature on the DVD. Who knows? But
Hmm.
I remember there being a big deal about that, like how did you do that? Because that's impossible, kind of thing. And it was impossible, and they did have to do something. As far as I remember, I could be wrong, and I probably should. In fact, I tried to look up stuff about this movie, but then I just didn't.
This guy.
Most of okay, because I was gonna say the other thing that bothered me was that and this is gonna sound really mean, but maybe it didn't age well in many different ways because this movie was so boring to me this time around. I was so bored. I was like, could you please just do something? I don't, I mean, obviously, I know attention spans are a thing, they get smaller and smaller. But, and I love a long, boring movie. Barry Lyndon's my favorite movie. I bring this up all the time. But it was like, I really don't care. Just get to the place with Christopher Eccleston and let it be done.
Well, maybe it's because this time you were waiting for the end. You know what I mean? Because
Maybe.
what I like was when I was watching this, I thought it was moving fairly quickly than what I had remembered or what I had expected. You know, and I think it was just because it was like the chimps are infected with rage, and then like
Which, by the way, I don't remember that at all. So when this started, I thought I was watching the wrong thing. I specifically only remember Cillian Murphy waking up naked. I thought that's how the movie started.
No, it had all those disaster
So
disaster footage, which I learned recently that all the disaster footage wasn't actual footage. Homeboy Boyle didn't want to use like real life footage, and so he like created all of it. And
what?
like, all right, so
That's
they like
impossible.
he didn't use it from real catastrophes. There's probably like stock footage of like disasters and such,
That's what
like
I'm
news
saying. Like that
anchors or whatever.
had to have been some of that.
But he
There's
didn't
no way
use
he
like
recreated all that.
w- he didn't he didn't he didn't take from actual disasters. How's that? Though I will say people were upset after the movie came out and that wall that Cillian Murphy like goes up to with like the have you seen me's. People were like, too soon, my dude, because 9/11. And they're like, have you seen me? People like when, you know, the Twin Towers went down, like people were like missing other people, you know?
Oh,
And
I don't remember
yeah,
that.
that was a thing. And he was like, "So sorry. I realize now how that looks terrible. We did that based on like a different disaster somewhere else. And we shot it definitely before 9/11." Like it was like, "Ooh, ooh, 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 ooh." No, but yeah.
People were just so sensitive right about that time, so I can see how it'd
Well,
be tricky.
yeah.
But at the same time, like you gotta push through the pain, bitches. Like we got shit to do, we got movies to make. I mean, you're gonna
Yeah.
make a movie about 9/11 way too soon, in my opinion. Like I can't believe there's several of them that are out there. Like, I'm sorry, I think that's weird.
Yeah, why like so many were produced. I was like,
There were.
like
I
it'd
was
be
like,
different if
what?
it was like a documentary going on about like the families or like whatever, but
Yeah.
it was they were just like scripted cinematic pieces.
Yeah. Like
And that
real
just kind of
quick.
felt weird.
I thought that was tasteless, but that's just me.
Yeah.
Uh it's just me sitting over here
And
not thinking.
also unimaginative.
Very. Like
Yeah.
I don't know. I think bleh. I worry about this pandemic and what it's going to do to people because
I mean, isn't what's his face already filming a and I'm sure it was written before it started, but who is it? It's not James Cameron, the other guy, the guy that blows stuff up.
oh,
Michael Bay?
yeah, that sounds right.
I almost said Michael Moore.
He doesn't blow things up.
The was it Bowling for Columbine? I can't think of
Yes.
any other movie he's done, but he's done a bunch in that vein. The documentarian. But yeah, Michael Bay is doing a film because they had announced that he was filming during the pandemic, but the film is kind of about a pandemic with like rolling lockdowns. And this was like in April. So they were
Huh.
like, you know what, we're gonna do it and we're gonna do it like socially distanced. We're gonna be totally safe, no big deal. Like the crew is just gonna live together, you know?
Oh,
Um,
okay. Like they're pandemicing together.
I think so. Imagine pandemicing, like being in a workforce pandemic or quarantine, but
That would be kind
only
of
but
annoying.
only them. Like you are living in a bubble with people you just worked with before. Like so you don't really have the escape to like go home.
Yeah, that would be kind of weird. I don't
Yeah.
think I'd like that.
But yeah,
I
no,
would
but
not want to be shut up with
it's
people
straight up
I work with.
similar.
Huh?
It's pandemic based. It's like, ooh, you're doing like you're filming now for a film that's kind of like COVID. Like, how soon do you really need to like drop that?
Like we don't
Like,
need that right now.
yeah.
We don't need that. We don't need that afterwards either. To be honest.
Yeah, like make it like enthusiasts can make it like way down the line. They're like, did you hear what happened in 2020?
Yeah, exactly. They can do it like
You would have thought it
150
was
years
the
from now.
year of visionaries.
Do you remember that? That pandemic. I mean, where's the movie about Typhoid Mary? We need one of her.
Oh, I'm
That's
sure
time.
there's like
That's
one
it's a good
floating
time for
around.
that one. It's been long enough. That actually would be a good movie. I would
Yeah,
watch
but
it.
that would still be like like COVID related.
Do you know what's funny about that? Now that I think about it, Typhoid Mary is these non-masker people. Like,
Yeah.
she's a complete fucking asshole that's like, oh, whatever, who gives a shit, and just kept killing families left and right.
She's like, I'm just gonna go to work.
I'm just gonna go work. I'm gonna change my name and work under a different name so nobody knows I'm Mary.
They're
God,
just screening all the Marys.
I don't know why I didn't think about that until just now, but that's she's a fucking bitch. I mean, I knew she was a bitch, but
Yeah, well, she was just a little selfish, a little
oh
selfish.
yeah, exactly. She
Yeah,
was
she's like, you know what, I'm fine.
because
So,
she was a carrier, but she didn't have any symptoms. So
mhm.
she is exactly the kind of person that would be running around here hacking up a lung on people without a mask. She'd be like, it's fine, I'm fine. There's nothing going on.
Yeah,
Yeah, but
like,
people are
oh,
dying.
give it a rest. You're being dramatic.
I wouldn't mind being quarantined with Cillian Murphy here, though. That'd be fun.
This guy.
But I have to say, getting back to that, I would say this movie, I remember when I first watched it and how I thought, oh my God, how sexy he was. And of course, you show me him naked right off the bat, so I'm already in. But I remember, like, what, midway through the movie when he shaved? And I was like, excuse me? Like, why the fuck did you just shave? He got so like less hot to me after he shaved. I mean, obviously I love him anyway, so it's fine now. I've gotten over it. But I was so pissed when he shaved in this movie because I was like, fuck you, you look good. Ruined it. But yeah, he's a sexy little man.
Yeah,
Yeah.
sorry.
Christopher Eccleston. That was a fun because I forgot he was in this. So that was a fun surprise.
Oh no, because he was my favorite Doctor for a good bit.
And do you know, it's funny, right before we started recording, literally minutes before we started recording, my friend sent me a article that Christopher Eccleston is going to be in Doctor Who again.
Oh
After
wow.
his long, I'm not going to be in
Hiatus.
Doctor Who
Yeah.
situation. And she sent that minutes before we started recording. I was like, that's really creepy because we're about to record a podcast where Christopher Eccleston is in the movie.
Yeah.
Which is very random because how many movies has he been in that we've done?
I mean, he's been in a few.
I mean, obviously he's a working actor, so he's been in a lot of movies. But
He's been in a movie we've done, I'm pretty sure.
has he?
Think so. I mean, maybe not, but I thought he had.
He does pop up.
Oh, you know what? I think he may have been in one of the Highlanders.
Oh gosh. Well, not the one we watched. Oh god.
No, not the
And I'm
one we
not
watched.
watching any of those sequels, so good luck with
Oh,
that.
but they get better.
No.
Anyway.
No.
Anyway,
Anyway.
I liked so homeboy like goes and finds his family, and he finds his parents, and we see that they had died in their sleep. They had went out on their own terms, and they left him a note, and it makes me sad every single time. The last bit of the note that says don't wake up.
Oh
And
yeah.
it's like like it always gets me.
Yeah, that
And
was
then,
sad.
yeah, and then he carries on and he meets a new family with Hannah and Frank. I want to say.
Sure. Why not?
And they have a broadcast and they go on their merry way and they hit up that tunnel. And I loved that tunnel scene because I think it was the most frightened I had been in the whole film with like the rats running away. and then they
Oh,
have to change
yeah.
the tire. Don't know why picking up the car was more effective than like committing to a jack, just leaving the jack behind. But
I don't know. I don't know.
they changed the tire and they dipped on out. But like it was like super like I watching that, and then I heard I had listened to an episode of No Such Thing as a Fence, a fish, where they were talking about like tunnel wars, where people would start on like either side of the tunnel and they'd like meet in the center and like go at it. Like that's like a nightmare. Being trapped in the
Hmm.
tunnel with a bunch of zombies, going to war in a tunnel where it's like one exit. Like
Yeah,
this is
that's
like
too much.
horrifying. It's like a an urban equivalent to like The Descent, like when they were like when the chick was like stuck in that like hole or the hole was gonna collapse, and then they've just got to push through. Like, ooh,
Ugh, no, thank
those
you.
get me.
I mean, I wouldn't have been caught dead doing that in the first place. So,
What, going in the tunnel or going or
spelunking, spelunking.
spelunking?
There's no way I'm doing that. I'm sorry. I've seen too many of those movies. Or like the one with what's his name, where he had to hack off his arm or leg or whatever it was. Like,
Oh, Danny Boyle
no.
also directed that movie,
Oh, there you go.
127 hours. Yeah.
Like, I'm sorry, no. Like, no. I'm only gonna do it if it's a safe ride at a theme park.
At a theme park.
Or some such thing
Yeah.
like that
I'm only
where
gonna do rock climbing walls at my
I have
local
a
gym,
harness
thank
and a
you.
rope and a very clear vision of everything around me that's at a distance.
Oh my goodness. Have you seen Free Solo? Where
Who?
Free Solo, like the mountain climbing without like rope.
Oh, hell no.
Like
No,
this dude is like
no.
free soloing like a mountain that like it's like the teeny tiniest of like ledges. He's like literally hanging on by like fingernails.
No.
It's nuts. Like there's like obviously a film crew like filming, but there's also people filming the director who like can't, like he can't watch. He's like, I know this guy. Like because like
Uh,
there's a very real probability that they're just gonna like fall on off. But yeah, I mean, I'd go spelunking for sure.
in a
I mean,
cave
like
like
I'm
that
not
with
trying
a
to
collapse?
discover a new cave like the
No.
girls in The Descent. Like
No.
I'm not. There's like that's not my deal.
Well,
You know,
that's another thing. Like, I would say, like, those girls, dumbasses. Like, don't go off to some uncharted thing
it
to be
wasn't
like,
their
this
first
is
time.
fine. Well, I don't care. Don't do it. But like, only do the ones where they pay admission for you to go in, and all the stalactites have been chopped. Like, like no, no, no. And if there's not a beautiful underwater waterfall or something, then who cares? Why do you want to go in there anyway? Because
To
there's going to be
discover
freaky
a
zombie
new
creatures.
form of human.
No, gross. No, I hate it. Oh my god, that movie terrified me. That was one of the few that really fucking freaked me out because I was like, oh hell no! Like when when you first see the thing standing behind the girl and through the video camera, I almost died. I screamed so loud. Oh my god, it was awful. So
Don't go in caves. Don't travel through tunnels. But I mean, it's a shortcut, so like
it's not a shortcut. In fact, that's not a thing. Uh, there's no shortcuts going through a fucking cave.
Oh
um,
man, what if
what?
they like chose the sewer system, like in Vamp? Do you think there's any like zombies down there, just like going through?
Probably. Ew. But I wouldn't have gone down there. In fact, I would have been like, that's not a good idea at all.
It's like a tunnel below or the tunnel below.
No, no tunnels. So I want to say, what was I going to say? I was going to say, oh, because I have this fascination with situations like the scene where he woke up and London is completely empty. Um,
Hmm.
and it probably sounds horribly egotistical and selfish, but that is like a dream come true for me. I would be so excited to wake up and find that the world was deserted and I was alone.
I mean, that's what it was like in like March, wasn't it? I mean, never entirely in Florida, but
Yeah, right. Not in Florida. I remember going
but
out, like having to go, like where I can't remember where I went, but I had to go somewhere, and I was like, I cannot believe there are people out here right now. Like there should be nobody on the road, and you should not be in my way. Like why are
like
you here?
yeah, there shouldn't be like wait times still at restaurants.
There shouldn't be wait for me to do anything. Like so, why are you out here? But then I realized it's Florida, and it's just it's never gonna happen. There's
Yeah.
always gonna be traffic if I try to go to work. um No, I find that fascinating, and I like. Oh, I would love it. Would you like that? Would that be? Would you enjoy it?
Oh yeah, like I'm totally into. First of all, I love urban spelunking, and it's kind of like that same like abandoned feeling, I would say. You know, I
Yeah.
mean, you would never do it because sometimes it's scary.
What,
But
what are we talking about?
urban spelunking is where you go into like abandoned like buildings
Oh
or
no, I
like
would do that.
train stations or
No, I would absolutely do that. I would do that. I would scream a lot, but I would do that.
yeah. Yeah, I went through a phase where I was going to like a ton that were like also supposedly haunted, but you know there's like there's still a real fear of you know running into other people there, maybe a
Well,
homeless
yeah,
person, maybe someone who's dropping a body, like you don't know. You don't know
that's
why a person
true.
needs to
That's
go to
true.
these places like alone.
That's true.
Yeah.
No, but yeah, I think. I mean, obviously, I guess I would. There would be some time spent mourning the fact that I am alone. Like, my family's gone or whatever, my friends are gone, like I'm alone in the world, truly
Yeah.
alone. But I think I mean, as much as that would be sad, I would I'm not joking, like I would be fascinated, and my first thing would be like I want to go to places that I couldn't go, kind of thing. Like I'd go to New York and I'd visit museums and and just have my time with it without anybody in there bothering me and all
All
that.
those museums have been looted.
But nobody's there. Nobody's there.
So you're the last man on earth?
Yes,
Okay.
that's my scenario. And
That's
that was the thing. Like when I saw that show advertised, Last Man on Earth or whatever it's
yeah.
called. Like, and mostly people just said, "Oh, that guy looks like you," because I had a big beard and
Because he
everything.
had a big beard.
And I was like, okay, whatever. But I started watching that, and I was kind of pissed that there were other people. I was like, well, that's dumb. And and then
What
more
do you
people
mean?
kept
Yeah,
showing
how
up.
long how long of a series can you have a la Castaway?
I mean, it should have been a movie.
Even Tom Hanks found people.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I think that would be fascinating.
I mean, absolutely, yeah. I liked in that show when the what's her name? The one chick was like, I went to coffee shops and miswrote my name on the cups. And I was like, oh, like that like need for like normalcy.
That's funny.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. But I would also, I don't know, because I feel like in that situation, you would, I don't know, because I feel like maybe it's just me, but like kind of like, okay, if I truly am the last person on earth and I've made my way up to New York City and I'm sleeping in the Metropolitan Museum of Art because that's where I chose to do it on some gorgeous sofa that I found in one of the wings for antique,
Hmm.
furniture. I just dragged it in front of a Van Gogh or something, but like that kind of thing. But I would also feel like what, I don't know how to explain this. Like, would I eventually have some kind of, what am I saying? Like a destruction quality. Like, you know, are you allowed to take scissors to an Andy Warhol at some point? Like, are you going to get in trouble for this? Do you know what I mean? Like, I feel like I would constantly have that in the back of my head. Like, is that okay? Like, can I do that? Because
I
if I'm
think
gonna,
after a certain point you wouldn't like I think after a certain point you wouldn't adhere by those rules. Like maybe you might feel some like ingrained guilt, but at another point, like who are you stopping for?
that's what I'm
You
saying.
know?
Like, I wonder if that would eventually go away for me specifically. I don't
Yeah,
know.
like in what is it, Zombieland? Maybe the second one. Woody Harrelson's character wraps Little Rock's gift
A
in a
painting.
portrait.
Yeah.
Yeah, like in a painting. And he was like,
Which was
nah, he
like,
was a fat guy. There's plenty left over.
which was so horrifying. I was like,
Right. But like it's like that. Or even in Last Man on Earth, like he brought like a ton of art to his home, but it's like
which
all still kind of like cut up and destroyed.
which
It's not like
that's one of those things where I always look at those little facts and details, and I'm like, well, that painting would have been very hard for you to get, sir. Like, would not have been.
I mean, not without obstruction.
Well, well, no, I think of that kind of thing too, because my honest thing was, if I was the last person on Earth, and if I could figure this out somehow, like, I would try my hardest to get to Europe, because I would want to see like Paris and the Louvre, and I'd want to see the Sistine fucking Chapel. And guess what? I'd be alone in it, so I'd probably end up just living there, to be honest, if I could get over there. But then I kept thinking, like, how would I get over there? Like, could I
Well, you
do
should
that?
learn how to do some nautical tracking because you're not flying.
No, I would not fly. Uh, there's no
So you'd
way.
have to learn how to sail and learn how to,
Well, I would want to bring some kind of large ship that made me feel safer in the water, because I feel like if there was a storm or something and I'm in some sailboat shit, oh hell no, girl. No, 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 no. Even the Titanic couldn't make that journey. So,
well, the Titanic didn't go down because of a storm. It went down because
well,
of an
I'm just saying, I
obstruction.
don't feel safe. I don't feel safe in a cruise ship either, because those things are fucking weird.
Dude, you should look at the Heavy Seas subreddit and like it's just heavy seas, dude. It is horrifying.
Like
Just
what? Like
like
what?
massive, just these massive ships in water that is violent. And then just like watching the ship go like down and like the waves like crash above the boat.
Oh
Like,
God.
yeah. But they're just
Oh
like out there in the middle. Ugh, think about navigating those waters without like any sort of like storm tracking system. Oof.
no. Well, see, that's the thing. I mean, these are all things that I would think about while I'm sitting around doing nothing. Like, I would definitely learn. I would want to get solar
Hit up the New York
panels.
Public Library, see if you can find a book
Oh yes. Well, I also
on
thought,
sailing.
like, in this fictional situation, would there be internet? Like, could I still surf the internet and Google on YouTube or something how to
Well, up
hijack a?
until things like shut down on their own.
What's that?
Up until like things start shutting down on their own. Like you'll have electricity until the plant like stops functioning for some essential reason,
Yeah.
you know?
Well, yeah, that's
Just
true.
like things like that.
I thought about that with The Last Man on Earth, because there was something in there about something like that, and I was like, I'm not sure about I'm not sure about some of these things. Like,
I think they found like solar power.
well, I didn't finish watching the show, but because I got annoyed by it. But I I felt like you said, like, there would be electricity up until a certain point, if something went wrong or something, but
Mhm.
there would be electricity. So I don't know. Anyway,
There's just nobody operating the system.
yeah. That's my cat. If you can hear that, I don't know. He's being very loud and annoying.
I could
Um,
hear it.
what?
I said I could hear him.
Oh, you could?
Yeah.
He's, who knows what he wants? He wants a treat or something.
But yeah, in any case, these fools, by the way, we don't learn this until the sequel, 28 weeks later, but the virus, this whole like desolation is contained. Like they aren't, it's not the whole world. It's just this area.
Oh,
They don't know that, you know. But in 28 weeks later, we learned that that's like not the case, which I
Huh.
thought was interesting. I also like, all right, so let's move a bit forward and hit up
Kusawalini. Shush.
Christopher Eccleston. Perfect. So they
Sorry.
hear the call. They're like, you know what? Let's go to the military. They figured something out. And even Killian Murphy in the beginning is like, well, what's the government doing? And they're like, there's no government. And he's like, there's always a government. They're like, no, but there's no police department. Like, what are you talking about? Like, nobody's here. And then they pass a city that's like on fire. And like the one chick, Selena, was like, no fire department either, my dude. like, nobody's coming to save you. And she's a bit pessimistic, which, by the way, there was a backstory written for her by Danny Boyle and her, where the reason she's so like hard-nosed or whatever was because she, like, when the outbreak happened, she had to kill her parents to protect her little brother
Oh, that
from
was in there.
them. Was it?
Yeah.
Oh, maybe it's in the director's cut then.
Is that what I watched?
Maybe.
Honestly, don't know. I just rented whatever. It was.
Yeah, but then she had to kill her little brother too.
Yeah.
Yeah. Ugh.
Yeah, that was all in there.
That wasn't in my first go.
Maybe that's why it was so much longer than I remember.
Oh, maybe.
Because I was like, geez,
like,
Louise, people.
But
streamline, man.
but yeah, but they get to these like dudes, and it's just like, what, 6 dudes, and it's like uncomfortable because in post-apocalyptic times, the military or whatever like vigilant force is always like hit or miss. Like, either they could be your salvation, they could be super helpful because they're trained for these situations, or it's just a bunch of like dudes who don't know what to do with their raging boners,
I mean, just fuck each other. I mean, come on. We all know you did it at some point anyway.
yeah,
Just
and then
do it.
and then Christopher Eccleston is like, I promise them women. And it's like,
You know what's
fuck
funny?
you.
I mean, I've
What do
seen
you
this movie
mean?
before, and maybe I just blocked it out, but I don't, I didn't remember any of that stuff. And I was like, it was also kind of like, it didn't even occur to me that that would be something. I don't know why, but for some reason I thought, oh, good, they're safe. This is nice. But in the back of my head, I kept thinking, I remember Christopher Eccleston not being a good guy. So I couldn't figure out why I was having this weird.
Yeah,
like
no,
this
well, I think when it's revealed that it's all dudes, and they kind of like further hammer it home when the one dude who's like cooking is wearing like a pink apron, like a girly-ish apron, and like they're like, oh, there's like not like a woman's touch or whatever the fuck that means. And it's like
assholes. Like, of
immediately,
course, sexist jackasses survived.
yeah, but so immediately, like once it's revealed that it's all dudes, for me, I was like, oh no. Because that's by the way, just to make a point, it's been 28 days. It's been 28 days and they're already like, we gotta rape some women. Like,
I mean, yeah, now that you mention it, that didn't even occur to me.
right? Like,
wait a minute,
and,
no.
and it's not the world.
Was it? Well, but it had to have been a longer time after 28 days, because 28
Well,
days is when he woke up.
Is when he
But
woke
it's
up.
still,
And
I
then
mean,
it's like, what,
it's still
2
not
weeks?
long enough to justify wanting to rape somebody.
Yeah, but it's like that's like a legitimate fear when we're not in a post-apocalyptic time. You know what I mean? Where like what's like the like excuse for like the dudes that are just like hopping out behind dumpsters? That was like a really bad example, but also a real example.
Well, yeah. Yeah,
But
I don't know why. I mean,
Why is that the first? Why is that always the thing? Why does that exist? It exists in all of these movies, but it also exists in the world. Like it's a legitimate
which is
like thing.
fucking
Which
sad. Fucking
yeah.
sad. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know why that's, and
But it's
maybe
been
that was
28
just
days.
me trying to be, I don't know, feeling blocking out the crap because I didn't want to deal
Well,
with
I love this movie. I'm very fond of the movie, and I always forget about that. And I'm like, oh yeah. Like, and then I just get angry.
I mean, obviously when it started, I was like, are you fucking kidding me right now? Like it was just, especially with the little girl, like, are you fucking, oh,
Y'all, yeah, and she was like drugging her, like she was like giving her pills to take, so she didn't care.
that's sad.
Yeah.
And the
Go
guy
ahead.
interrupting that like it was a problem. Like, I'm sorry, but this should have just been a conversation that they all had in front of each other, because guess what? What, do you need her to struggle and to be screaming no the whole time for you to get it up and do it? Are you fucking kidding me?
He just
I
wants
would
to feel
much
powerful
rather,
again,
I mean,
Johnny.
not that anybody is I'm never going to condone the idea of rape. I don't care how long it's been since you've had the sex. You don't deserve the sex if you think it's okay to do that.
If you
Like,
think it's like owed to
like
you in some
what?
way.
No, absolutely not. But at the same time, like, I don't know. I always felt like in a rape situation, if this were going to happen to me, especially grown as a grown up or whatever, I always thought if somebody did pop out of behind a dumpster and wanted to rape me or something, I would just be into it. I'd be like, yeah, let's do this. This is finally, let's do it. And because I always feel like maybe that is the thing for them. They want you
Well, yeah,
to
that's
be the
like a
helpless
huge
victim
factor.
person. And if you're not, would they still enjoy it? Which is horrifyingly disgusting, but it's true. Like, would that work? I don't know. I mean, I don't know if that would work. I certainly don't want it to.
Just don't, you don't want to go
I
toe
don't
to
want to have
toe
to
with
put it into practice, I guess. But I always wonder if that would be a deterrent for getting raped. I don't know.
And they're just
But
like,
that is my
stop,
strategy.
it's no longer fun. And then like, get out of here, you freak.
For the record, if I'm ever in the situation, I will absolutely do that.
Oh, I believe it.
Absolutely.
I 1000% believe that.
I mean, yeah, you know me well. I definitely would. I mean, I would just be like, whoa, there's a naked person. There's a penis in my presence.
Stop talking about it like that. It's very shy.
No,
Yeah,
scream.
but they, does Killian, does Killian know that they're going to, yes, they do, because Christopher Eccleston is the one who told him, like, I promised them women, and then
Which is
takes
just so disgusting. And like you said, yeah, it's only been like a month.
I'll maybe give them 2 months tops for like the travel.
No.
But from the point where they picked up the groceries, they were still like bursting with groceries in the car. You know? So I didn't think it was like too long.
Well, no, but in any case, none of it's a good amount of time for that. And it's
No,
funny that it didn't even occur to me until you mentioned that. Because I was thinking
it's
it was
not
years
like
and years
they've
and
been
years
chopping at
later.
the bit for years. Yeah.
But you're right. It's only been like a few fucking days. Like, get over it, dude. Go jack off somewhere, you asshole.
Yeah, there's plenty of rooms.
Seriously, it's a huge villa thing or whatever. You dickholes. God. Or like I
Yeah.
said, take turns with that cook dude. He seemed into it. He put on an apron.
Aprons don't make you feminine. But it was a pink frilly little homemaker apron.
They had dresses. They could have just dressed him up in one of
Oh yeah, they
those.
did that. They did that too. You know, maybe at some point. Maybe at some point.
They
But yeah,
probably
so
would have.
they
If they
go
had
they take
not, it would have been maybe 48 days that they would have finally gotten the guy to put on a dress. Like, you're our lady now.
He's just like, I get it. It's been 48 days.
Like, it's fine. Go ahead.
We're all in this together.
Oh
So I think did they want to kill Murphy because he because like, you know,
because he
they're
didn't
like,
want to rape anybody.
yeah, like he wasn't cool with the thought of it, and they're like, okay, so we're just gonna go show you something real quick. Like they planned to kill him, and then he suddenly, because in the beginning he was very spooked about everything. He was like, where's the police? And didn't really.
He really did have a huge transformation in that moment.
Yeah.
But
he also killed that kid. There was a child in the gas station. He didn't need to go inside.
I would have done that.
And then like stomped out a child. And
I mean,
and that was his like I'm a new man.
But I don't know. I mean, to me, like, I don't, maybe I'm desensitized. I don't know. I feel like maybe that is my problem. But to me, like, when that got brought up later as like being like a horrible thing that he did, I kept thinking like, dude, the fucking thing was virused or whatever. Like, fucking kill it. I mean, are you really going to have a problem with that?
Yeah, I didn't feel remorse because it was a kid. It just also sucked that it was like a person, you know?
I mean,
that was once a living
no matter what, like,
you know.
So, but I would do it. I wouldn't have a problem with that. I know that sounds horrible. I'm not saying kill children, but I'm saying, like, if that was the situation that I was in,
it's down to you or them, you know, and they're not.
It's gonna be me.
Yeah. And they're not going to contribute to like the rebuilding of society,
which clearly the zombie is not.
Yeah, they literally cannot. So it's kind of like, you know. Also, when the dad,
I have to say, just for another second, real quick. Same with the fucking zombie show. What was that zombie show? The Walking Dead. Like, it was the exact same thing in that move or the show that bothered me about things was, I mean, besides the conflict with the humans that were alive, which could you please not, because hello, you got to survive these fucking zombies. Please don't kill each other, but you do anyway because you're all assholes. But yeah. my thing was like all the hesitation with killing your family members because they were infected. Like, and please don't let this happen in real life because I don't want to have to do it. But at the same time, I would not hesitate. Like these people doing these things, like in anything. And it's not just zombie situations. Like I see this, I watch a lot of crime shows and stuff, and I'm like, just fucking shoot them. Like, are you fucking kidding me? Don't talk about it. Don't hesitate. Don't, oh my God, I have to shoot somebody in the head. Fucking shoot them in the head. Do you want to live or do you want to die? And this is what I'm saying. Like, don't threaten my life because you're going to die. I'm sorry. Like, and I've said this for a long time. I got a lot of rage because of the horrible things that happened to me when I was growing up as a gay kid in Georgia. So guess what? If it's between you and me, it's gonna be me. Like, I'm not gonna hesitate. And I know that I don't know if that makes me a horrible person.
Well, absolutely. I would hesitate.
You would?
No, I would think of those situations. I know myself well enough to know that I would probably, if I had the opportunity to. That's not to say that, like, if I had to kill the reanimation of my mother, like, that I wouldn't, you know, if she was, like, on top of me, like, trying to, like, claw my eyeballs out, you know? But if I had the opportunity to, like, get away from that and, like, lock her in a room, I probably would opt to do that, you know? I would, like, try to be more...
like, shut it up and walk away. I could see that too. I could see if it was logical for me.
I would probably try to feed her. Like, I would probably be like, Mom, we're gonna find a cure. Like, that would probably be me. Until it was like, you know, like 28 days is gonna be my limit. And then I'll be like, sorry, Mom, like, gotta go. That's a joke. So
I don't think I would. No, I mean, maybe like if it was a situation like that where I was able to contain them and then
Mhm.
move on, like physically walk away from them, I would do that probably over shooting them in the face or something.
Yeah, you don't want
Like
like that
if they're not
image of your parent.
actually, yeah, if they're not actually like coming at me trying to kill me, then yeah, I'll just lock them up. It's fine. Like I don't
Yeah.
have to kill them if they're not going to, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
yeah, I would avoid. But like I said, if you're coming at me and it's me or you, I'm sorry. I'm just gonna do it. I'm not gonna hesitate. I'm not gonna. Oh my gosh! Oh, it's my mama, and she's coming at me with those
Yeah.
horrible
Well,
eyes. Like no.
and and to that point, when they stop at the blockade, like Frank, Selena, Hannah, and Jim, they're traveling, they're going toward like wherever the coordinates are for the radio call. And they stop at a blockade, and Frank, the father of the kid, like looks up and starts yelling at like a crow, and blood, because it's bloodborne, drops down and gets up in his eyeball, which that sucked. That would suck for like anything. I've had like trash water go into my eye, and like I was like devastated. But so Selena, the adult woman, is yelling at Jim because she's like trying to hold like his daughter back, like Hannah, who's like, "Dad," and she's like, "No," and she's like, "Jim, he's infected." And then immediately she switches to kill it. Like she no longer personified him. She
Yeah.
was like, "Kill it. It is infected. Like get it." And I was like, "Whoa, whoa, that was quick." But that also must be super helpful
Yeah.
to like detach. Like she's like, "He's dead."
It's not him. Kill him.
Or I guess he's not dead because they're not really dead.
Yeah, but
But
they're not. They're never coming back. Your dad is never coming back.
I mean, maybe in the sequel. I don't remember a lot about the sequel,
I don't think I watched it,
but I
honestly.
think there was someone. It's 28 weeks, and I think that there was like a character that was immune to the infection.
Oh,
And you know, as always, they're like, "Cut her up for science."
well, of course.
Yeah.
Like there aren't already enough problems in the world. Fucking asshole.
Mutilate this kid. Let's see what
You're.
makes her tick.
I mean, I feel like we're doing that with our kids now. To be honest, we're getting on our political side of things.
I don't think it's to see what makes them tick or
No,
for
it's
any
just.
bit of science.
I just. No, actually, that's true. It's just. It's just. Send them all off to get killed. Woo!
Yeah. You
That's
know.
awful. It's. I mean, do you know what's funny to me is like I feel like because I've been thinking about this, like I don't have kids. Like none of this is a threat to me specifically. None of it. I mean, if that makes sense. Like I work from home. I don't have to be at the office and all that kind of stuff, which knock on wood, that's great. But it it's interesting that it bothers me so much that they're doing this to other like I'm like I don't have kids. Like I said, I don't have that responsibility, but it feels like I do because it's happening. Like,
Well, it's also very hard to watch something happen that the group that it's happening to is not entirely um has not agreed on it, you know?
yeah.
Like
Well,
like like
and
not only like, well, the kids don't have say very much, you know? And like, you know, the parents like got to make choices, and for some they like need to
well,
and
and
some
that's the
can't.
biggest problem I have with it is that it's affecting a poorer class of people. Like, you know, for a fact, there are families that their kids cannot go to school unless they get on a bus and get driven to that school. That
Oh
is a
yeah.
thing. And the fact that you're packing children into a bus to go to school, like, but it's the people that cannot afford a different way to go. And that's the problem I
Right.
have.
And
It's like,
some kids like, get most of their nutrients through like school lunches. I do know because my sister uh instructs and she does art classes at a school in West Palm. And West Palm is like still Florida, but it's operating like on their own terms because they are, I think, were their numbers greater than the rest of the state or were they fewer? I can't remember. But West Palm and Miami and all of them are operating on a different frequency. And they're all entirely online for
which they
this
should be. There is
for this school
nothing,
year.
there's nothing wrong with that. I don't understand the problem with it. Like, why do they have to
Like,
physically be? I mean, obviously, for the parents that have to go to work, I get it, but I don't know.
well, all right. So
Fucking
when the pandemic happened, like even when they entered summer, like when they sent kids home and I forget what it's called over there, but like the the school meals that they had provided to kids, like because some kids like get free meals um for being poor. And the school, I didn't know this, but down there they had still sent the meals to the kids every day and then they continued it through summer,
oh
which I
wow,
thought was like amazing.
that's
They're
beautiful.
like, oh, like shit is kind of shitty, so we're gonna continue sending you food. So like I don't know about our district up here. I don't have family members who work for the schools up here. I just have people who work in like IT up here, so I don't know. I guess I could ask. Um and I have another friend who has like fibromyalgia and like other like autoimmune stuff who's a teacher, but she's down in St. Pete, I think, right now, and she has to go back, which she does not want to, and I don't think she can. She just had a surgery like last week. And I've been
It's
like
fucked
her posts
up.
have been popping up in my social media a ton lately, but like she does not want to. And I don't know why isn't being allotted the option to not. You know what I mean? Like if it's like if we're trying to push like a just stay home culture, it's like you're going to have to provide the people who have to stay home with like options,
Yeah.
you know? Like if like I want you to stay home so that I can live, but it's not like it doesn't work for everybody. Not everyone can work remotely. Not everybody like can it's not equal across the board for these
No.
people. But again,
It's
some kids, got to go to school. Maybe they're in an abusive household. Maybe that
ugh.
is their salvation. So
This
it's
whole.
kind
I
of
mean,
funky, but it is hard to watch because it's like you're watching people argue over like the lives of um people who don't really have a choice,
well,
you
I
know?
mean, especially when because there were those um percentages presented at some point. Like, this is the percentage of kids that will probably die from this. Like, and that's fine. Why is that fine? Why is it okay for anybody? Though this percentage it's a low percentage. It's children dying. Are you fucking kidding me? Like, how is that even a conversation that you have and you don't hear yourself? You're typhoid Mary at that point. Like, you, you're just not getting it. You're not getting it. You're not understanding that you're killing people. And it's like, that's what I don't understand about it. I really don't.
Yeah, it's kind of rough. It's got and like and I
Oh yeah.
there's like many people that like the people I care about most are have like an autoimmune deficiency, and I am more likely than not to be a typhoid Mary. And so I try to do my best for them, even though I
That's what
don't
I'm
see
saying. I'm the
them,
same way. I feel like I absolutely could be a typhoid, but I'm not a typhoid Mary in the sense that I'm going to infect other people because I'm aware that I could be, so I'm not going to.
Right.
Like
It's just
that.
like also like don't be a dick. Just like
Don't be a dick and kill people. Woo!
Like, just like stand with people. Like, that's all it like.
Oh, anyway,
Also, I
so
want to go back to work. Like, I don't want to be here.
I have to say, this whole situation, working from home, it has made me. I mean, it makes me realize that, yeah, I don't have to go back to work, so it's fine. Like, literally, I don't have to be physically in the office. It's not a thing that I need to have. But
Yeah.
um, it's just making me realize how much I don't want to do my job
Hmm.
because I hate it so much. And it's so counterproductive to what I want out of life. So that's, I think, the part that's bothering me the most, being stuck at home doing this. It's like it's giving me this, like I'm surrounded by my creativity and I can't really do anything about it, kind of thing.
Well, yeah. It's also like you're it's difficult if you don't have like a workspace or a work like time, and it's like mixing with like your downtime, your home life, and like, bits like that. Um
Well, it's like before, when I'm working in the office, you'd have where you, what am I saying? You physically cannot do the things that you want to do because you're at work. Do you know what I mean? And then when you're done with work, I come home, and the issue was that I was always so tired. Like, I just didn't want to do anything else. So I'm just going to lay here and watch a show or something.
yeah.
And it's almost like it's magnified from being at home, if that makes sense. Like, it's the same situation, only it's like way worse. Like, I don't want to, half the time it's hard to get through work because I'm like, I just want to lay down. Like, I don't,
Dude,
it's very
I
strange.
my first bits of not working, like it was rough because I mean, I was working, but other like every place was closed, like, but I was still going into work and like painting and like refurbishing the place, like I was creating work. And the gym closed the same day my theater closed. So like on my birthday. So that was like the last day I went
Boy.
places. So I was creating opportunities to work out at work, like picking up heavy things and like squatting. Like I would go around the perimeter and like pick up litter like while doing like lunges and squats, like just bits like that. But now that I'm not anywhere and I'm just home, it's like I have to create a headspace to work out. Like don't get me wrong, or I'll like work out all day. I'll just be doing like different exercise videos. Just you wait until I get my aerobics like entrance kick down. But but it's like creating those spaces, and like at some point like it got exhausting looking at the same walls, like I
Yeah.
had to like go outside, but then it's like so hot out.
Yeah. Oh God, it's
uh,
gross.
but like after the bit of insanity of being indoors, because I was moving a ton before
Mhm.
all this. Like I think my average steps in a day for March when this started was like at like 10, 11,000.
Oh, mine was insane. Like, and I would go to the gym on the weekdays during, like, before work and during work. I'd go
Hmm.
3 times to the gym a day, 3 times.
Yeah.
And I was feeling so fucking good. Like, it was the height of me in my adult life feeling good about myself. I don't think I've
Yeah.
ever felt that good. And then it just like, woo,
Yeah.
like, where's
But
the
after
graph on that one?
after the bits of insanity, I started to feel great because I had essentially purged daily stupidity from my life. Like I wasn't getting unnecessarily frustrated by dummies. like
I will say that I
like
mean,
in customer service and like my peers and
I
like
still,
whatever. But I mean that's changed because obviously the world.
well, the world, yeah, the world. For sure, the world. I mean, I still deal with some coworkers and stuff like that, so I still get some of that. frustration. But
Yeah.
I certainly love not commuting to work in my car, because that was the worst part. That was
Yeah.
absolutely the worst part. Like, I hated it. I hated every second of it. Going to work was fine because I'd go there super early, but even getting out of work early enough to try to beat some of the traffic, it didn't. There's still going to be some, and they're all idiots, all of them. It's like, get off the road. If you know this is after work, go home. Don't go out of your house. Don't get in your car. You don't need to go anywhere. Especially when I'm trying to go through like Hyde Park Village or whatever to get home. It's like, you don't even work. You're not even working. Get out of my way. I just get so angry. Anyway, but yeah, I don't know. Trying to deal with all of it is a lot. I'm obsessively logging on to social medias back and forth for some reason. And I don't know why, because I know for a fact it's going to make me upset, but I can't stop for some reason. So I have been trying to watch more to distract me from getting on the phone, but it doesn't always help. But I have watched a lot of interesting things. I watched I like murder mysteries, but I like them when they're female murder mystery ladies. So I watched I had watched what is it, Miss Fisher's Murder Mysteries. It was a show, and then they did a movie, and it was only on Acorn TV, and then there was a 7-day free trial. It's like, yes, I'm watching this movie. I was so excited, and it was so good. And then they had Miss Fisher's Modern Mysteries or whatever it was, and it was like not modern, but it was like in the 60s instead of the 20s, and it was like
Right.
her niece or something. And it was so good, but it only had like one season. And I was so disappointed because I was like, I want like more. I want lots and lots of it. And those are Australian. And then I watched I just finished it today. It was Frankie something mysteries. I'm really bad with names. Can you tell? But it's a Canadian show. And it had 4 seasons, and I was so excited. And then of course I blew through them all. So now I'm done with that. But I love those. I think it's so much fun. Especially because it's the way that they write them, since they're in a time frame where you can still get away with some things, like especially during like prohibition and everything. But also like policing, like you can still punch somebody in the face when you arrest them because they're not as strict as we are now. You're not supposed, I mean,
Oh, the
obviously,
good old days.
yeah, the good old days.
That said with sarcasm. I don't actually believe it. Just
I'm,
for anyone listening.
no. I'm not saying, I'm certainly not condoning any of that, but there are times when, like, you know, the hero that you're watching catches the bad guy and you want them to punch him in the face, but you know, they're not legally allowed to. But on these shows, it's like, yeah, fucking punch him in the face, punch him in the dick. Stupid man. God, men are awful.
Yeah. So what would you rate this movie?
I would rate this movie, oh gosh. That's a difficult one. I 5.5 toes. I know that's pretty low. I'm sorry, but the quality of it bothered me, and I know that was
It's
artistic
intentional.
choice, but it really bothered me.
I
Like,
knew it. I knew it. When I was watching, I was like, John's gonna have a fuss.
I am. If I can't see Cillian Murphy in high definition, I'm sorry, guys. Like, you're just making me mad. And I also, I dropped it down. I probably would have given it a higher rating before I rewatched it than after, because it really did drag on for me. It was so much longer than I remembered. And maybe it's because, like I said, I think I
Yeah, I
watched
think we watched 2 different versions.
but I will say, interestingly, the one on Amazon, I think it was the director's cut, because as far as I remember, the theatrical version had the ending where he died during a blood transfusion, which I still don't quite understand.
Oh no, they did the hello. Like they
Oh,
sewed like a bunch of fabrics and sheets and curtains together, and they had like the they
was
they.
that in the theatrical version?
I'm pretty sure, yeah, that's the ending I remember.
I mean, I remember that one because that's what I watched the last time. But I remember there being a different ending. But what I was going to say was on the Amazon version, they gave you the hello ending, like with the sheets, as the ending, and then after the credits rolled, they gave you the original ending in the end credits,
Right on.
where he died of a blood transfusion. Which, like I said, I still don't quite understand where the logic was in trying to do that.
Or maybe like they were just like, oh, hey, you want more? You want some closure? He's dead.
I mean, but it directly happened right after they drove away from the manor.
Oh, when Homegirl was like pulling at the syringe like from her teeth.
Yeah.
Naomi Harris.
Yes, they went to a hospital and tried to do a transfusion, and he died. So like that was, I mean, I don't know. Jason had mentioned that was the ending he remembered in the theater. So I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong.
No, I don't know. I always remembered the hello ending.
Yeah, I mean, I like that ending. I think that ending is way better. So let's stick with that ending. But yeah, 5. I'm still gonna give it 5.5. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Danny Boyle did a great job. Everybody's good.
Yeah, no, I'd give it 7.5. I think. It was something that I really, really like needed, I guess, in my youth. Not that I'm making anything now, but I could make something, and like the quality on my phone would be significantly better than like my old camera.
Yeah.
But you know, still
I
do
mean,
it.
I feel like, I don't know. I get the choice. I really do. I think it's interesting. I just think some choices like that don't age as well as others, if that makes sense.
Well, yeah. Well, I don't think that anyone took the time to restore it either.
No,
Because
probably not.
I don't remember it
But I
looking
don't
so
think that I don't think that you
like a
can
restored
though.
video game. Like it's like a video game you played in the 90s. And like if you went back to play that, you'd be like, "Oh, good golly, like look at these polygons." You
Yeah.
know? But
No,
like, like we have the capability to restore it. I just don't think anyone has.
I don't think you can though. If I'm going to be honest, like, because when I did my the short film I did somewhere in between, the footage that I have, like the original footage, the stuff that I filmed, if this
Mhm.
makes sense, I cannot make it look better than it is. Like the quality that you see on the one that I have on YouTube, that's it. Like that's as good as it's going to ever get because it cannot get better, if that makes sense. Like the quality of that footage
Yeah,
is
the
the way that it
comfort
is.
restoration. There might be somebody who is willing to fill out each frame.
I
Like,
mean, oh my gosh. Not for mine. Don't do it for me. Save it for 28 days later. Don't do it to mine. But mine's fine the way it is. Yeah, I don't know.
what would you recommend?
Excuse me, I burped. What would I recommend? Ugh. Well, I'm not a fan of these zombie things.
Oh, really?
No, I'm not. I really don't like them. Well, I think my biggest problem with the zombie things, like I said before, is the humans that fight each other during one of these situations. Like, you guys are a bunch of fucking dicks, and I hate you all. Like, please
Well,
don't do that to each other.
I mean,
I mean, easy for me to say, obviously. I mean, we're
well,
going through a
yeah, and
pandemic
it's kind
now,
of
and
like,
people are dumb. So,
like look
I get
at,
it.
anti-maskers in our very streets, Johnny, at
Exactly.
our very councils, at our very Walmart.
God.
We're
It is a
beating,
reality.
we're
I feel
beating people who are
maybe
coming down the
this,
aisles. Like,
this pandemic might actually make me change my mind about these zombie things, because I feel like, I mean, well, except for the fact that maybe that's why I don't like them, is because it's too close to what I think would actually happen. Because I
Yeah,
think people would be dicks to each other, like they are literally right now as we are recording this episode.
yeah. For
Like,
like
people are
why?
horrible. People
Like
don't care that other people are dying. They just don't. So anyway, whatever. But that's, yeah. My choice. Ah, shit.
I've
I'm
got
gonna
two.
go. I'm
Oh,
gonna
okay. Go
go.
ahead.
I'm gonna go for not a zombie. I'm gonna go out of the zombie, but I'm gonna give you. I'm gonna let you have your zombie. I'm gonna raise you a horror film and go for.
Like what what zombie movie is not Warm Bodies. Never mind.
uh, I. How about the one Cillian Murphy, Red Eye?
Okay.
Yeah,
All
only
right.
because Jason mentioned it, and I was like, oh yeah, I really like that one. I saw that theater
So
because it had Cillian Murphy in high definition.
so I would recommend the 1968 Night of the Living Dead. I mean I really really dig that one. I remember that being one of my mom's favorite was the second one, Dawn of the Dead, where they were in the mall. Um but yeah, that or I would say if you don't want zombie but you still want kind of like a disaster um found footagey type feel, Cloverfield.
Oh yeah. Oh, that's a good. Yeah. See,
Yeah, cuz
that
it's
found footage looked good in high definition.
yeah, cuz it was like bam 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 bam. Like Cloverfield was also like, and again, your version of 28 Days Later, it was slow.
Yeah.
But it's like this. Yeah, cuz I guess with Cloverfield we don't see what happens about a month later, like where they're at. Unless you count 10 Cloverfield Lane, but I'm pretty sure it's like happening in that movie.
Yeah.
Um, yeah. So yeah, Cloverfield, if you want something more loud, something that's much louder. This movie was loud, you know. I remember when the sequel came out to theaters, I was working at the theater and it would rumble into the other auditoriums because they had like a similar, if not the same, soundtrack in 28 Days Later and 28 Weeks Later. They
Hmm.
were so loud. And it spooked Chewie when we were watching it. He like left, like the first zombie like broke through a window, and he was like, "I'm good." And just like didn't show up for a while. Um,
Aw.
but yeah, so Cloverfield is something that's like bigger, and Night of the Living Dead is something that's still like hordes of zombies, and political statements. So
There you go. There you go.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So what are we
So
watching next week?
what are we watching next week? I knew you were going to ask me that, and I was trying so hard throughout this entire recording to figure something out. Oh shit. Um. Uh.
That's okay. Just edit it in.
Yeah, it'll be blah 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 blah. So join
Nailed
us
it. So
next
pumped.
when we do blah 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 blah.
Next week.
Woo! Maybe next week. At the rate we're going, it might not be next week, but
I mean, we'll see.
we'll see. So join us. Yeah, keep us in your feed.
Yeah. Until then, bye-bye. Don't forget to cut this out.
Was that your indicator?
Yeah. But I don't think it looks great. I think it would be better if I was like
There you go.
but yeah. Yeah, right on. So where were we?